Every conversation on the Upwind podcast starts with one idea, that the future belongs to the people brave and tenacious enough to sail against the wind. My guest today, Lin Dai, is one of those people. He's the co-founder and CEO of Superlogic, a platform that's quietly reshaping how brands think about loyalty, value, and human connection in the digital age. Before Superlogic, Lin co-founded Tap Network, helped launch the Forbes Rewards program, and has been building at the frontier of Web3 long before most people could ever define it. This is the Upwind podcast. I'm Lily Dash, and this is my conversation with Lin Dai, co-founder of Superlogic. I was just interviewing the session before you, and I was saying how, we had the early founders of Bitcoin and crypto, but the founders that came after are just as important, if not more, because that's what brings in the rest of the audience, products that work, that bridge the two worlds, so that you actually have the market that we have today, right? Without entrepreneurs like you building real life products that interact with the technology, we wouldn't be where we are today. If one company in the crypto space succeeds, everybody in the crypto space succeeds.
Yeah, it's just like we're getting closer and closer, and there's like newer and newer technology that actually like makes a lot of things we talked about like 10 years ago now like possible, right? Like speed, transaction costs, and like actual like adoption by mainstream companies, right? Like we're talking about yesterday about like Nike and Virgin and Apple, and like these are not conversations like, you know, even 5 years ago we were like, what would those company ever, like the senior leader CEOs would actually be embracing this technology at all? So,
right. And now they're here, and now they're at the conferences,
right.
And now they're showing up fully and trying to integrate. You have so much experience in this real world, crypto world, large brands, crypto. Tell us more about that. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, it's like
I saw you at the Grammys.
It's quite a journey, right? It's like we're always a little early, you know, my mentor and everybody knows like Bill Tai. So famously, like, you know, I was CMO, global CMO for a early mobile video app, right? At the time when Instagram was just doing photos, I was working with this company that had like really great video compression technology that could deliver 30-second videos over 3G speed at good quality. Like this was like 2010. So, and I was like, okay, like you need to tap into like culture and community, and like, you know, you could tap into the US market. It was a Canadian company, so it's called KEEK. And they brought me on board, and of like, you know, we did partnerships with the Kardashians. The entire family was using our app exclusively for a year, and they were like just becoming a cultural phenomenon and things like that. So like we exited that company, and I came back to New York, and late night I was like flipping through the channels, and there was just like on CNBC there was just like 20-minute special about this group of entrepreneurs and VC that go kite surfing, right? And that was like Bill's group. At the time it was called Mai Tai Global, and I distinctly remember like late night, this was like 1-2 a.m. I couldn't sleep. I was flipping this channel, and Bill was saying like kite surfing was the new golf because it's like more entrepreneurial. It's like taking risk, and you had to get up when you fall down, right? Because and that was like a really great analogy. I didn't kite surf at all. I was like, oh my God, I need to like meet Bill and get in this group. So I took like lessons, and I keep tracking them down. They didn't respond to me for like 6 months. Not because it was just like, it's very decentralized and not really organized. There's not like one person that's like kind of in charge of responding to like Facebook messages, right? So then fast forward, like met the group and got me into right a lot of the early Bitcoin guys, and I came from kind of like media culture, big brand world, and I remember like talking to Bill in like 2015, 2016 about like what is the intersection, what is the blockchain usage for real world stuff, and I'm like, this is this is really way too early, and until it really finds kind of that real world connection, uh, it's always going to be like a very niche, like trader investor group that adopt it versus it has so much potential to be like, you know, better everything we do, right? Like, we just had to find the right application. So, so me and Bill were like thinking about this in like 2015, 2016, way too early. So we tried some experiments, and we did a few interesting things, and we decided to tackle a different angle in music, in culture, whatever. And and we caught like kind of a moment where NFT was a big wave in the last cycle, and that represented like art, and music and culture and all of that in sports. So like uh, when we basically have been planning this for since like 2015, 2016,
For a
right?
decade.
Yeah, like literally, like I remember Bill showing me crypto kitties at end of 2017. I was like, okay, now we're like much closer to that like real world adoption. Right now, it's like basically gaming, and it's like digital asset you can actually own. That totally makes sense. And part of this was like I was like, okay, like we're still very far from at the time to say like blockchain or Bitcoin based transaction is going to replace actual payments, right? If I go to a bank and say like, hey, we can build technology that help you do faster payment and settlement, like no bank were like, in 2017, 2018 was a yes. But I was like, uh, we have this idea that I pitched Bill was like, I'm a big like points nerd, like points and miles, right? So I collect a lot of points on credit cards, on like flights. I travel a lot, hotels, and I was like, that's like essentially a pseudo like every corporation is their own pseudo central bank because they control their points. And that's a currency. It's just a currency on a centralized database versus a decentralized database, and we can simulate just about everything you can do in a rewards program, with blockchain technology. And I talked Bell through this, and I said like I think we can I can bring a couple of big clients on, and like Bell took a very early gamble on this idea, and we actually immediately signed up Warner Music Group.
Wow.
Right? Warner Music Group, like I got to the CEO, had this pitch, and I think like they were very innovative. They're the third largest label in the world, and about a third of world's like recorded music, like commercially recorded music, goes through is published and put out in the market by Warner. But they're also, compared to the other two majors, they consider themselves the smallest major. So CEO Steve Cooper at the time, very, very like, innovative and all about taking chances and risks and like leverage technology to give themselves an edge to compete with like bigger labels like Sony and Universal. So took a shot and said like they're willing to do a blockchain power rewards program, which is like unheard of. This is before NFTs, right? Or hot. So
What year was this?
This is 2019.
Okay.
I mean, so in 2018, end of 2018, Steve basically said like, "We'll give you a shot. I agreed to do this program. Sent me to his legal department. Took 1 year, like literally, like by December 2019, we have a signed agreement. So, but it was a signed agreement with the world's largest, third largest label. That's like culture of 400 major artists, was like Bruno Mars and like Madonna and like all these major iconic like groups. And the idea was like we're gonna run a blockchain power rewards program, but we're never gonna let the fans know, right? It's not front and center. It's just like a piece of technology that underlying everything. And then we just start building technology, and we're like, oh my god, it's just like whole NFT thing was like cost so much to actually create, right? Like the gas fee to like generate one NFT was so high, so we had to build technology layers on top of it to make it so super cheap, so it's like affordable to fans or free to fans. So then 2021 came around, and like we're talking about art NFTs were selling for 60 plus $1 million, right? So so it's funny, like I called up Steve, CEO of Warner, and I was like, you heard about this NFT thing? Well, like this whole time, our rewards program have been using this technology, and we have better technology than what everybody else is using. We think there's a huge opportunity to just do music NFTs. Again, and he's like, in like about 12 minutes, he's like, I get it. We'll work with you guys as our like NFT partner. Like, go talk to our legal department. Took another year to like sign a deal. But meanwhile, like, we end up building one of the largest music NFT platforms called One Of. And that had like tremendous like learnings and adoption. It did a lot to kind of bring the average music fan into the blockchain space, right? And now, because now it's like something relatable, right? Now I'm getting a collectible from my favorite artist. Now I'm actually like feel like I'm part of that community, right? By holding something that is like on blockchain. Like so it's like a whole new use case and whole new group of users, like millions of users we onboarded that never before like held anything on blockchain before. So that was like a very exciting like kind of couple of years moment for us, right? So
Wow. 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 So incredible. Like you really started at the very top. Most companies it takes when did you found
it was like Bill always says, it's like you had to be a little bit early before the wave, so you can like when the wave comes you can like paddle and like follow it. If you're too early, you're just like waiting forever. If you're too late, then you're like struggling to keep up, and you see like some kid that just like went past you. Like that was like a perfect analogy of that, right? We were early, and then kind of that last kind of consumer adoption art Web3 wave hit, and we were one of the most well-known projects in for that era, right? So but then you keep paddling, right? Like specifically in blockchain Web3, it's like very wave driven,
right?
And it is like because you had to go through like 2 years of bull cycle, and then it's like very much 2 year of like what we call crypto winter, right? Like prices of digital assets are depressed, and entrepreneurs are like forced out of like
The market.
projects that like they're passionate about. Just like funding dries up, so you have to like kind of like pivot and last through that. It's like very hard. It's not like regular tech industry, right? Like so there's this is kind of very cyclical, just by the nature of like kind of the price of the digital asset controls a lot of this like external factor to building a company that like in other industries like doesn't really exist, right? It's not like if I design a new car, it's not like every 2 years people stop buying cars completely, right? And then like 2 more years later, everybody's buying like 6 cars a person. So it's a new dynamic to adjust to as just kind of an entrepreneur that's been in non-blockchain web space for 10 years before that.
Yeah. So I think Bill says you can't create the wave, you can only ride the wave.
Right.
I love all of the metaphors about the sea. We came up with the Upwind podcast, which is powered by our Acti advisors. And the reason why we came up with this name is I used to be a sailor from a kid, right? From 11 years old, and now I'm in the kite surfing just like you.
It's amazing.
Right? And I see this with so many founders. So apparently in venture capital, out of every 100 projects, or out of every 110 projects, 103 go to zero, right? Like the ones that make it. So you have an upwind mark. The upwind mark is right in the wind. The wind, you have to beat against the resistance straight into the wind. As a founder, you know this. You've just told me that you had to pivot. The founder I interviewed yesterday told me he was the founder of Bitcoin.com. They went from $4 billion in daily transaction volume. The market crashed, and within the three nights, they were doing 100 million. And they had to just, you don't pivot. But okay, when you're going upwind, you're sailing close to the wind. It's hard. The conditions are tough. The boat is leaning over. You've got to position it. But so you're a kid. You have kids. Sailing, I fully recommend, especially in Miami. You start on a start line, and on the start line, there's enough room for like 30 boats, but there's 120 boats in the race, right? And you're going towards this upwind mark. And your position in the race, when you get to the upwind mark, that first upwind mark, dictates whether you're going to finish the race at the front of the pack or the back of the pack or mid pack. If you don't get off the line first, you're going to be in everybody's dead wind, dead air. You need that new fresh breeze to be able to make the progress. But most importantly, the wind is shifting all day long, right, on the course. And just 5 degrees or 10 degrees or 3 degrees, it's really subtle, the shift, and only like really, skilled sailors can feel it. But sometimes the wind shifts enormously, and you could wipe out. But as soon as you feel that shift, that subtle shift, the guy who acts on it the fastest is going to win it, and he's going to benefit from that. And you have to tack. It costs effort and energy and time to tack to change it so that you can get that leverage and that benefit. But it's all about just tacking to that windward mark, which is how we came up with the Upwind podcast. And similarly with you, like 2019, you can feel the wind shift. In 2015, you can feel the wind shifting. It's so subtle, you and Bill. And then 2017, you feel the shift again with CryptoKitties. And then 2019, you feel the shift. You're like at the head of the pack, right? And you just have to maneuver to that upwind mark. So tell me, where are you in the course now, in the race course?
Yeah, I mean, I love all these like sailing analogies. I spent a couple of years. I volunteer on this like huge like early 1900s schooner in like New York Harbor called the Shearwater. They take tourists out, and like
amazing.
And I talked to the captain, and I was like, can I like just come hang out and like learn how to sail? It was like amazing experience when I first, for a couple of years when I first moved to New York. It's a balance, right? Like as an entrepreneur, you got to figure out like you said, like when the wind is shifting and how you tack versus like what is like, what is signal and what is noise, and how to prevent, keep yourself away from chasing shiny balls. There's like so many shiny balls, and entrepreneurs are always like, we're entrepreneurs because we can simplify problems in our head. That basically you look at a problem and you can theoretically think through a solution and answer, and you kind of had this blinders on that basically says to yourself like, how hard could it be, right? It's like, okay, I just need like this relationship and that type of piece of technology and putting it together. It's all good. We're gonna dominate the world or whatever that industry vertical. It's never that easy. But the fact that you can think through that, right, makes a lot of problems potential shiny balls. It's like one of the things, like, as I get into more of my entrepreneur journey to like learn how to resist the urge, but also at the same time, like you said, you have to know when like the wind is shifting and you have to pivot, right? Like we basically saw the writing on the walls where NFT value was starting to plummet. But we're big believers of the underlying technology, right? And what we learned in that in those couple of years was like community was like really important. People really love two things by holding on to music NFTs. Number one is like they belong to a group of other fans that basically also like bought the same asset and was able to like talk about and share that, which is like very unique thing that like I think we're in like a whole generation that feels very lonely.
Mm.
It's like disconnected and very transactional. Like, I mean, I met my wife like 10 years ago, and we basically like we're about to celebrate our 10-year anniversary. And I was like, thank
Congratulations.
you, thank you.
Woo.
And I was like, and you know my wife, and I was like, if I didn't, like, basically, I mean, I'm proposing for months, right? Like, after I met her, I was like, if I didn't, like, I would not survive in, like, kind of the very transactional dating world, right? It's just everything is reduced to a swipe. And also, it just like, people are just like more and more like it's a generation people feel that feels very lonely, right? And to be able to feel like you belong to a community is so important. And also the second layer, also of the extension of the same problem, that I think was very unique was like experiences. People cared less about that I held a picture, a JPEG of Doja Cat something, versus some of those NFT gave you access, like tickets to a free concert you did, right? Some of the people actually got to meet her. We did a lot of things with the Grammys. I mean, there were collectors that actually like came to the Grammys, uh, and we basically went out of our way, and he wanted to bring his like daughter to, I mean, what a special experience. And that wasn't like part of like what he bought, right? But it was just experiences that we were able to then like deliver and fulfill like above and beyond. Experiences were like very important to people. People got very excited, right? So it was about um holding something that was a membership that got you like real world experiences. So we took those two pieces and we're like, okay, like those behavior and trends are not going to change, right? Because crypto price is up or down. Like experiences are important to people, and community and belonging are important to people. And and this is like up against the backdrop of like a whole generation of millennials and Gen Z that really needs to connect through experiences. So we went back, at the time, American Express invested in us, and we basically, and they have one of the best like rewards program in the world that like very aspirational, right? Like we basically went to American Express. We're like, okay, like we have this technology. Like, don't worry about like the technology and NFT and selling NFTs through like the MX wallet or whatever. Like, what's really important is like how do you really speak to millennials and Gen Z in a way that like they will respond, right? Like, um, like how do you like break out from the pack and not feel like to millennials and Gen Z as like a bank, right? Nobody wants to be advertised to as a bank. But if you basically can go to them and be like, we are like the aspirational life you always wanted to live, right? So that could be travel, worked really well, but travel is also like very saturated, right? Every rewards program, every competing bank is offering you some kind of like travel deals, but with like experiences. Um, experiences to get you closer to music, sports, culture, lifestyle, right? So like, wouldn't you, if you're just like doing yoga at home, wouldn't you love to figure out how to go on a retreat with other, like 100 other people that love this from all over the world to like a Caribbean island and spend like 3 day like long weekend to like bond and do yoga and do all those things. Like these are things that like was like not really formalized before. So we basically were like, we can be the technology layer that actually make experiences accessible to users, right? So these are things that maybe traditionally will cost hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. We basically said like, hey, why don't we make that like, your rewards points is literally a digital currency. uh, we know how to spend digital currency uh, for NFTs before, but it's the same as spending digital currency for like experiences, right? So we build these systems, huge success, right? Like they MX is like one of the MX already like kind of DNA wise understand experience, right? They sponsor NBA, they sponsor Coachella, and just adding this more mid-tail element of things that they don't have to sponsor but can like really offer to consumers that is really experiential and community driven is a huge thing for their brand and success at recruiting new users and all of that, right? And the same, so basically kind of Super Logic was like born out of that kind of learning and pivot, and now we are basically like supporting a whole range of like major like US banks and US airline and hotel programs, adding those experiential and community element to an existing rewards like portfolio and all of that. And then like you said, like the wind kind of shifted again, right? Like so we had
Like it always does.
yeah, and the technology underlying is like kind of like hybrid Web 2, Web 3 technology. But like at the end of last year, with a new election and everything, it was like very clear like crypto is legal if you actually want to build a legitimate like blockchain crypto business in the US. It is now possible, right? So basically, like going back to the original idea, like me and Bill talked about in like as early as like 2015, 2016, it was like, how do you actually make cryptocurrency and blockchain assets linked to real world goods and services? And literally last November, I was like, there is a path. We have all the technology. We just have to pull it together. And at a time, Bill basically made another pivotal intro for us with this company, Belsanio, and who's this whole portfolio of like a dozen or more like major travel companies, deep expertise in travel for 20 years, and like we hit it off, right? So and then we're like, and Oscar and John from Balsania also saw kind of the vision of like now actually having all of these experiences, travel packaged together and delivered to make it accessible to like a whole generation of people that understands digital currency and crypto and blockchain. It's very revolutionary, right? Right, for a company that basically have like 20, 30 years of deep experience in a very traditional business that's travel to like really also share that vision. It's like kind of like I found my tribe, and we basically last November I called my entire kind of like tech and product team together. We had an offsite, and I was like, be prepared to work like a Chinese internet company, right? And they were like, we don't understand what that means. I was like,
Hard.
enjoy the holidays and like be on call after that, like 24/7, and like we gotta work hard, right? Because this wave is coming. 2025 is gonna be big, and we had to build and we had to put a new product out, and we end up like we can pre-announce basically in about the next 7 days, we're going to launch this new brand new platform called bookit.com.
Wow.
That's a joint venture between Superlogic and Balsanio. That's literally we have aggregated 2 million merchants in travel, in flights, hotels, resorts, cruises, experiences, shopping, right? You can get like Tumi luggage and like, tag your watch, like on this, like it's like a premium Amazon meets Expedia meets Ticketmaster type of experience, worldwide access, and you can pay with credit card, points, or up to 3,000 different crypto we support out of the gate.
Boy, epic.
Yeah, I mean, this is like, like this is a like almost a 10-year journey from the time I was like,
I'm pivoting to that upwind mark,
Exactly, right? And be ready for the wave. Like I literally remember in, 2015, my first like kite surfing session with everyone, early Bitcoin guys. I was like, this thing will go nowhere if we like can't figure out mass consumer like applications. And look where we are now. It's just like it's a lot of prep work to lead to a moment where, really feel in the next few years mass adoption is going to happen, right? Like my mom is finally going to be able to like benefit from blockchain technology without ever even need to understand like what is blockchain and like this is crypto or whatever, right? So this is kind of the first time it took the entire industry this long. So that's why like it felt like this week at Token 2049 in Dubai, the energy is like very positive and it's a lot of momentum of like project that's actually here building like real world applications. So we talked to a lot of projects like, I think in previous years there's a lot about trading. There's still a lot of trading and DeFi here, but there's like also so many projects who are like anecdotally telling me use cases that like, a company had a super premium crypto debit card and somebody bought a car on that card, right? That wouldn't be possible on a regular MX, right? My MX is like theoretically no limit, but if I go to a like Maserati dealership, I bet like that doesn't go through, right? Like, so there is a centralized company doing analysis and preventing that from happening versus like in a decentralized world, you are your own bank, and this actually happens. It's really exciting. These kind of like consumer use cases are like, it feels like we are at like the cusp of something like really, really big.
Huge. Okay, so tell me. So you have Amex. You've got these huge companies, these huge legacy companies that are enormous and driving the world today. There's you. So there's this quote one of my mentors gave me a few years ago, and it's value creation or wealth generation occurs at the intersection of two different worlds, right? So mainstream credit card company and travel meets crypto and building that bridge for the two of them. Can you tell me in a technical way potentially or a business way what does that bridge look like under the hood?
Yeah, I think under the hood, no question in my mind, over the next like 5 years, a lot of the mainstream rails are going to integrate with or replaced by blockchain rails.
Right.
It doesn't mean Visa, MasterCard, and MX not going to exist. It's actually more likely means that they're going to adopt and connect their network or operate part of the network on blockchain rails, right? So, these companies, if anything, are very much spend a lot of time thinking about how not to be a dinosaur. Like just this week, literally, like MasterCard made announcement that like, they're now support stablecoin, and 2 days later, Visa announced the same thing. Uh, it's like, there's a lot of effort to kind of
And just for the layman who might not understand what support stablecoins means, so basically you're saying that MasterCard, Visa, American Express will allow you to send crypto directly to your card
yeah,
to pay your credit card bills.
The detail exactly what that is still, it's definitely still a lot of announcements.
Right.
Has not been, I'm sure there are network tests and everything, right? Like that happens. Just like why stablecoin is important in this cycle, right? Like what stablecoin is, it's basically a digital blockchain version of the US dollar, right? That's the most common stablecoin. It's some kind of like token on a blockchain that is literally like one coin is backed by one USD in like some bank or some kind of like similar instrument, treasury or whatever, right? So 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 why that's important is like if I'm actually trying to move a dollar from my regular bank between even two banks I own, it takes 2 days, 3 days to settle on US rails on this ACH thing. A little bit faster in Europe. but like and it costs like you know it's not really free, but it's like the bank kind of like subsidize that cost, right? uh the same like digital tokenized on blockchain dollar literally can settle in 1 second now
Yeah.
for nearly no fee,
Right.
right? So it's like far more efficient to transact on that basis.
Right.
The it actually threatens a lot of the traditional credit card company models, right? Like because there's a fee being made, and uh and having stablecoin now, that is now a legal instrument, right? So the U.S. Congress is reviewing and going to pass the Stable Act with a lot of details on how stablecoin can be transacted. So so the Mastercard Visa network are essentially a monopoly with like MX kind of as a challenger. It's like they had to basically announce they have capability to support this, right? And they've been working on this for years and years. It's a little bit like, but they have a business model problem, right? So the it's like almost like AI for Google. If AI on when you search for something, and now basically on Google there is like a whole set of AI answers, right? If AI is so good and they can basically interpret that replaces advertising revenue. It's not a ad of another company buying to say like, give me that answer, right? AI is actually interpreting like a real answer. So the more successful like Google AI gets, the more it kind of challenges and cannibalizes their ad
Own
business.
model, yeah.
It's the same thing. The more like, even if MasterCard and Visa adopts stablecoin, the more successful those transactions becomes, it takes away kind of transaction that they can actually legitimately like run and charge and make interest how they normally do, right? So, but business model also evolve, and I'm sure they're like some of the best, biggest companies, and a lot of people are thinking around that. But it's kind of exciting that like a technology is so powerful, like even though against their own immediate interests, these companies are basically like see the future and say like, we are supporting this, right? We'll figure out how to make money on this like later, but like
Don't leave us behind.
Yes, like we are as innovative as any native like crypto like stable company. So that is kind of a good indication for an exciting moment for the entire industry as well. So
Yeah. Okay, so back, I have a long career history in the travel business. That was the first business, one of the first businesses that I began. Can you speak at all about Book It?
yeah, no, like super excited. Being like a travel nerd and points and miles nerd, this is like literally my it's like a hobby that become like such a big like job and passion project.
Yeah.
And uh Superlogic did this joint venture with Balsanio, and who has like 20 years experience in travel, and Superlogic has like a lot of experiences, right? So we combine and in crypto, and we combine the two stack together. So we basically like, imagine you can like you would search on Expedia for like a hotel, right? And you find a hotel and you book it on Expedia. Expedia, you're like a tier 1 or 2 member Expedia, you get a 1 or 2% rewards back.
Right.
And that's okay. That's pretty good. So on Book It, you essentially you can go in, book the same hotel at the same price you will find on Expedia, and you will get like 10 or 15% back. You can buy a Tumi luggage at the same price you can find on Amazon. You'll get 30% back in our rewards points. And you can
okay,
right, and you can like go book a week in a 5-star Mexican resort. And we found this deal that's basically like, it was like $2,800 for a whole week at a 5-star resort, and you're getting $1,600 back in Spree points, which is our like blockchain enabled universal rewards currency, right? And what's great about that is not only like you're getting so much back in points, that points is a universal point. It's like, just because you got it from booking one resort, it's not limited to just like spend it back that resort. You can go buy a Tumi luggage with it, right? I can buy my wife something nice from like Prada using the same universal currency that because it's blockchain, it's universal.
Right.
And every 100 point is backed by like a $1 of stable coin. So it's a deeply rewarding experience, whether you like understand crypto or not. And then at checkout, you can pay with credit card if you're, my mom, or you can pay with 3,000 different coin. Like I can pay with USDC, a stable coin. I can pay with Solana. I can pay with the Trump coin if I want. I can pay with Bonk. So essentially, in the background, we just like we do an instant swap, and we take your currency, convert that to USDC. It gets locked in our contract, and we issue points against that. And it's a points that can be literally.
So do you
accepted
stake? Do you stake that USDC? Is there a staking model in there? I'm just trying to figure out what the revenue model. I know the revenue model of Expedia very well.
Yeah, so there's a deeply negotiated wholesale margin directly with the hotel
Right.
partners, right? So we are basically, I think the underlying goal is to get mainstream adoption that crypto can be spent with mainstream merchants, and we're bringing on board 2 million, not your local coffee shop merchants, but the biggest brands in the world, like Marriott hotel inventory is here, like Delta Airlines is on here, right?
Right.
So they're like de facto accepting 3,000 crypto via our rails. And because we already move so much volume for them through our corporate layer of businesses, like these deeply discounted or like wholesale rates, right? Like it costs us like, let's say $80 to actually pay Marriott for $100 room.
Yeah.
So we're passing
So
like
there's 20%.
we're passing like literally like 90% of that.
Okay.
Yeah, 90% of the 20% like back to consumer in rewards. So
Wow.
and we have different
It's
tiers,
just totally
right?
a no-brainer.
Exactly. And it's just for like even if like MasterCard accepts like stable coin, why would a consumer stop using a regular like bank issued card versus spending my stablecoin on MasterCard rail, right? Because like when I swipe my MX and when I swipe my like Chase credit card, I earn like 3%, 4%, 5% back in rewards. So the way why consumer will actually transact using stablecoin or any other digital currency is like I had to be overly incentivized. I better get 10% back, right? Not 4% back before I start changing my like purchase behavior. And that is hard. Like the networks can't afford to pay everybody 10% for a transaction. The only way to do that is actually incentivized by the merchants. Merchants love this because the Spree network running the blockchain transaction, because it's so efficient, we are charging merchants 0.75% versus
3.5.
3.5%, right? So merchants love this, like, and it's more money in their pocket. They're willing to like incentivize consumers more. And it's kind of like a win-win, right? Like, so this is something that like book it, and also for a limited time, next 30 days after launch, you're gonna be able to get the Gold tier membership, which is $99 a year, absolutely free, right? So it's like, but it's only gonna last for like another 30 days after we launch. So you can pre-register now, and we'd love to just, this is for the Actai community and everybody that supported us. This is like kind of a pre-announcement tip.
Thank you so much. We'll definitely put the link in bio.
We're excited. We're excited about this. This is like kind of like, I've been looking for 10 years about like everything that's like awesome about traditional rewards program, but everything that's missing, right? Like, I'm a big like Marriott Bonvoy guy, but like my points every year it's worth less and less because like Marriott keep like increasing the price of the redemption,
just like the dollar, right?
Right. Versus because like the points, but it's like it's a 40% inflation a year, right? Like the points are not literally backed by anything other than a promise and on the balance sheet of Marriott that like they'll let you do something with it up to them.
Right.
Versus this is a on-chain 100 points is always backed by $1.
Okay, so let's say we book a $10,000 trip to Six Senses or somewhere. Are you saying that we can get 1,900 or $1,800 back in crypto points.
Yeah, so somewhere depends on your membership tier.
Okay.
You're gonna get anywhere between like probably like 1,000 to 1,500.
1,000 to 1,500 back.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's on hotels. On specific like deeply negotiated deals with resorts and cruises, you may get like 30-40% back.
Okay. And how is that in a crypto? Can you get it back in USDC, or you only get it back in Bookit?
So you
Cryptocurrency,
get it back in this thing called Spree points, right?
Spree points.
Right. So Spree.finance is the pure blockchain rewards layer to all stable coins. So Spree points is basically always guaranteed. There is $1 of USDC or another stable coin backing the issuance of 100 Spree point. And Spree point can be spent at any of the 2 million merchants we support.
Okay. But the Spree points can't be converted back to cryptocurrency.
Not as an end user, not right now,
Not
right? So there's some bigger DeFi component coming in the coming month that there's a lot of kind of advanced staking and whatever modeling that basically essentially makes it like more of a like kind of a more fluid currency. Yeah. There's a lot of use cases that's like already a lot of projects doing great things about like using crypto as trade, right? So like we want to make sure we give you an instrument that's like specifically made and for commerce, right? So we don't want you to basically earn $1,500 back and then put it back in like kind of a casino of like meme coins, right? Yeah. Versus like that's $1,500 you can purchase something else. Right? Or onboard like some other commerce use case, right?
No, it's and you're not just in the travel space in terms of hotels. You're also bringing on shops.
Yep, it's shopping. So there are major brands like Tumi and Bose and Samsung and Nike and that basically have their storefront on Bookit.com in the shopping section. Lots of good deals. Like $1,000 back on when you buy like a Tacura watch, things like crazy deals. And then we also have experiences, right? Local experiences, like something I enjoy when I travel, like give me more joy than anything. Like some of my obviously great moments spending time with like my family, but I also like to sneak out to like local hole in the wall like foodie places, right? Even if my family don't come with me, like find that little ramen shop that's like AC and I had to wait like an hour to get in. So we have those like food tours. We have a month from now we're gonna bring on a lot more like ticketing inventory. Every concert ticket and sports ticket in North America can be basically like purchased with crypto on Bookit.com. After that, we're going to bring on VIP experiences. We have exclusive packages from the Olympics, from Super Bowl, from FIFA next year, VIP packages, experiences that money can't buy, but now you can buy with crypto on Bookit.com. So there's a whole roadmap of like really exciting real world things that that basically is going to be available on Bookit, and we want that to do two things, right? We want that to be a hub for experiences, and we want that to be a hub for community. To where like if you believe that like blockchain can unlock kind of the future of community and commerce and all these things, like as an early adopter, you get rewarded. You get rewarded a lot for being part of this community, and hopefully we're contributing to kind of a new era and new kind of paradigm for society and travel and experiences.
Yeah, no, definitely. You're disrupting the travel space, the reward space. Now people can think twice about whether they really need to buy that plane ticket on an Aero Rewards card or American Airlines Visa card, MasterCard, or they can Bookit.com and get those rewards right back into their pocket.
Yeah, and
it's not like when it comes to American Airlines rewards, and it's not a dollar. It's not dollar for dollar, right? It's
never.
It's not even close
right?
to dollar for dollar.
It's not, right, because the corporations control the exchange rate, right? When they basically says for typical airline miles, you can buy the miles at 3 cents per mile, and when you spend it, it's worth less than 1 cent. It's a huge like profit margin, like
Ripple.
it's a huge profit margin for the airlines, right? So so this is something that's well, we understand why business model wise it's beneficial for major airlines, hotels, and credit card company to keep a very limited silo system, right? But like for consumers, it's much better to have it decentralized and be across a ecosystem. So we're still a closed, Spree Points is still a closed loop, you know, digital on-chain point, but it's a very large ecosystem. It's 2 million merchants, right? So it's a lot of choices, a lot of, more choices than any coalition rewards program ever were able to provide, right? Like you may have kind of a airline have alliances, like, right, your points may be good across like about a dozen airlines, but that's it, right? Like, so this is something that's like, you can, right, you can go on a flight and the rewards point you get, you can basically spend that for a new set of luggage or like, or any other product or experience of a local food tour or concert ticket to see Taylor Swift when you land after that flight. So like no points has ever been that flexible, and we were only really able to do this because it's like kind of like blockchain technology. It's like a lot less technology overhead to run that, right? And it's a decentralized like kind of a point system.
Um, One of the things I speak about, like as a founder, what obviously it's taken enormous and it's been an enormous endeavor to get to where you're at. You've had to like suffer through the squalls and the waves and the currents and the wind and just like keep on keeping on, like over a 10-year time horizon. What like where did you find the grit and the determination to keep on keeping on to get to this point?
Yeah, yeah, I always say like, I talk to VCs and VCs always like, oh, it's so glamorous that like you actually like are out there doing what you love, right? Or like my corporate friends, and I'm like, being an entrepreneur is like the worst job ever. Like it's like you could be high one day and then the next day would be like, oh my God, like we're about to go out of business. Uh, it's like what really helped me in hindsight wasn't like a conscious decision, but if I had made a choice, it was a community of other entrepreneurs, like-minded. Like Acti has helped me so much, not only kind of in Acti Global, this community of entrepreneurs and VCs and other builders and artists and athletes that Bill kind of founded. That has been like the rock in my like career and life over the last like 10 years, and I made so many friends, and because everybody else go through similar things, right? And we are like, and it's a community of like people such about like pay it forward and helping each other and not transactional. It's very rare to find like a community like that, and when you have that, it's just like so magical and so special. Without that, like there's so many like unexpected introductions and business opportunities and partnerships and like things and friendship that happen out of that. Like as an entrepreneur, it's like the most lonely job ever, right? Like you basically have like either by yourself or you have like one or two other founders, and you don't always get along, right? Because like you have disagreements, and it's like you had to like get through all of that, and having kind of a community like supporting you that understand that is like so important. Everything like I was like talking about like 95% of the positive things that have happened in my company over the last like 6 7 years is all traced back to Acti, right? So it's like it's an incredible thing to like in hindsight being able to like quantify that to this extent. I'm like I can count on the like success stories that's not related to Acti versus the infinite amount of success that's like linked to this community. So it's like so special experiential wise. And if you are an entrepreneur out there, like I encourage you to like either check out Acti or like find another tribe of people that's like doing like doing that, right? Like it doesn't have to even be in the same industry, but people are out there like really hustling and trying to make entrepreneurship work, right? So
Yeah. No, for sure. Like that quote, that Aristotle quote that's all over everywhere with Acti, that one's potential is realized when you come into contact with another person. And that's certainly the case. Like in your experience, in my experience, we've just in the process of creating an Acti advisory just for this purpose to help draw out more assistance and help and to founders in a more personal, deep, well, not more personal, sorry, because it's incredibly personal, but on an ongoing basis between the trips.
yeah, absolutely.
And to bridge more gaps through technology like media, like AI. Like we have Acti has an incredible community of 10,000 people all doing incredible things. If we can have more conversations like this, like they're
Yeah, it's such an incredible idea, right? Like to really like, how do you amplify the magic of like the Acti events to like throughout the year and with everybody like connected? So, so much like positive, unexpected, business and personal like
synergies,
like success going to come out of this, right? So I'm a huge fan of this idea of Acti advisors. So
cool. Well, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you. I'm glad.
I'm
I
glad
get to
we
be
got
the
to
first
get
like live
the story out. I'm really excited for what's to come with Book It. We have to monitor that and get onboarded so that we're not wasting any money. We're not leaving any money on the table, any points on the table.
Yeah, absolutely.
We've traveled so much, all of us.
It's like literally a tool, a site, like a platform that's like made for my own needs, right? I can use every single one of these products. And when your product, when you build something
that you can actually use, it's
like
one of the most rewarding experiences.
Right. I can't wait for this to go live very soon and get it in the hands of every Acti community and every other.
What an epic domain name, bookit.com.
It's great. Our partner, like I said, our partner Balsanio has 20 years experience in travel, and they know a thing or two about getting domains with great like domain authority and SEO and branding and everything in travel. So
that's the other thing. Like partnership is so important. Innovation doesn't happen in isolation. It's like a cumulative endeavor.
Yeah, just like one quick note on like also perceive everything as a opportunity, right? Approach everything with optimism. Because Bill literally asked me that they're this really big travel rewards company. Like, do you think they compete with you, or do you want to talk to them? And I took the path of like, we want to talk to them, right? I was like, we can find differences and synergies, and maybe they hear my idea, think it's good, and they're much bigger, and they may want to do it themselves, or maybe they want to actually partner to do things together, and being like probably the most meaningful partnership we're gonna do like in this entire cycle, right? So
yeah, standing on the shoulders of giants and you supporting them.
Right, and approach everything with a optimistic attitude, right? So definitely,
yeah. Be open to be galactic, not out of love and collaboration, not fair, which you said earlier, everything is very transactional and it comes from a fear of being left out, I guess, in a way. Well, that's all thank you Gigaverse for being our key partner with this podcast and this event. I'm glad that we got the opportunity to speak to Lynn here in Dubai at Token 2049.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Thank you. This episode of the Upwind Podcast is brought to you by Acti Advisors, a full-stack advisory platform for founders. We work side by side with entrepreneurs as embedded partners, guiding strategy, growth, and execution. From business development and client acquisition to finance and fundraising, we help founders remove barriers and scale faster, while connecting them to capital and world-class relationships. Acti Advisors, side by side with founders every step of the way. Learn more at actiadvisors.com.